7:04. Let's call this meeting to order and welcome Amy Parsons. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Excellent. I'm glad you can hear us, and thanks for joining us today. So Amy, if you're not aware, is our select board liaison, a representative to this particular group. And Joanne, thanks for sending us the June and July minutes. Are they?
Looks like you muted.
There
There we go.
Okay. So June minutes?
June, which one?
So June 9th, we have the library board of trustees meeting minutes from June 9th.
So usually someone makes a motion for the minutes, and then there's a discussion, and then it's approved or just, so that's. So do you need someone to make a motion? To approve?
So, yeah.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
Second.
So thank you, Kim and Wayne. Are there any issues that need to be corrected? Anything that needs to be edited on here?
I did not see anything.
Okay, that said, no need for edits. So let's take a vote on accepting these minutes. All right, and going all around, Julie, thank you. All right, everybody. All right, so that's a unanimous vote. And I am now looking for the July minutes that were just sent to us.
Motion to approve the July 17th minutes as sent.
Yeah. Okay,
Is there a second? A second.
any need for edits for the July 17th meeting minutes?
So financial, I'll fix that. That's the other thing.
All right, and beyond the one spelling error. Again, let's vote on the July 17th minutes. Thanks, Julie. All right. So Amy, do you have any comments that you'd like to make at this meeting?
I'm really just here to listen in, and then if there's anything that you guys need me to bring back to the select board, or if there's any topics that you would like the select board to have on a future agenda. So I'm pretty much here for you and anything that you need from me or the select board.
Ellen, thank you. Looking around, I see no one here for public comment, and that brings us to Joanne for development.
Okay, so the development subcommittee met, and Julie was there, I was there. There were two friends there. We had a very productive meeting. We talked about establishing an endowment. And the homework for me was, and I have contacted the town administrator, because we had, when we presented last time, we saw all those funds that we have that we like to roll over into the endowment. I have contacted the town administrator. He wants me to email him all the specifics, so I'm going to do that. And I also I'm making an appointment with the community foundation where our other account is. To have them come in and hear from them about what it would be like to have an endowment through them. So those two things are rolling. We've written to the MBLC to ask about how other towns in situations like ours are managing if they have an endowment, like how they're handling it, right? Because some libraries are individual 501c3s, we are not. So we have to find like towns that have, kind of elected board run by the town. So hopefully the MPLC, we've written to them, hopefully we will hear back from them soon with some kind of towns we can partner up with. We also talked about what the makeup of the development committee should be. And we discussed that we'd like to have 2 trustees on it. We'd like to have 2 members of the Friends, and then we would start looking for people in the community or at large who use our library and have interest in our library that have certain skill sets, like folks who work in development, folks who, have public relations background. We kind of made a little bit of a laundry list of those kinds of skills we look for. So the committee's next action is that Allison and Dragon, actually there were 3 people there from the Friends, Allison, Dragon, and Lauren. And all 3 of them are gonna go back to the Friends at the Friends meeting, report back kind of what the committee said, because it's really important that the Friends are on board with us, that we partner together in this. So instead of kind of moving forward quickly, we're doing these small homework items. And the Friends meet again in September. They're going to go back to the Friends meeting, kind of present everything, talk to the Friends about partnering on this in terms of people, not necessarily, because it is money management. They have accounts, we have accounts, like we have to really think it through. They're going to go back in September, and then the development committee will meet again on September 21st, 22nd. Do you remember? You're muted.
You're muted.
One of those dates. I can check my calendar right now if you want. Hold on a second.
Matter.
Right.
Did
Yeah.
I miss Julie in my report?
I thought there was just one second. Let me look at September. 21st. No, I can't see it here. Anyway, I thought there was a really interesting point that you made at the meeting that I thought would be worth oh, where are you? Can you guys still see me? Here I am. Sorry. You said there were other towns, and this was part of your homework that you're pursuing. There were other towns where the town manager or finance person on the town managed the accounts. So in other words, instead of, if we could combine these accounts that sit there in the town, we wouldn't necessarily have to have them managed by the community foundation, which charges, a fee to do it. It could be maybe managed under the town auspices. So we don't know. I mean, you're obviously looking into this, but I thought it was an interesting idea.
We don't, right, and so that's one of the reasons I initially wrote to Linda. And then she didn't answer, and then I found out she was retiring only days later. So then I wrote to Nate, and so we're gonna move from there. And Amy, this is like all good for you to hear, since I think, it's kind of headed in that direction about finding out from town government. Amy, the idea of us having an endowment is that we would like to create a fund so that the library in perpetuity can kind of support some of the things we do. Obviously, we'll never be able to replace the town budget. We are a town, we need the town to support us for a lot of legal reasons, and but it's a good way to supplement that and think about the library for the long run. Amy, since you're kind of here from the select board, I'd love to hear what you think or have to say about it.
I'm guessing, is it gonna be operating similar to the COA where they have like the Friends of that help fund, or no, completely different?
Yeah, it is different because we do have a friends group and they do raise money for the library. And for events and things like that. This is actually, it would be an endowment for the library. Northampton has one. Many towns around us have them. We're thinking about, we actually have some money, in the town right now that is kind of slated as endowment money. So we're kind of rolling that together and coming up with, say, our hope was getting to $2 million. So then we just take the draw every, year or so and help fund some or part of the library's needs.
Okay. I
So,
think,
go ahead, sorry.
oh no, go ahead. I think I do think it's a good idea. And I think that it's something that we could definitely probably work with. I know with Linda leaving, it's a little bit, challenging as far as, kind of figuring it all out because she
Yeah.
knew everything, but she is coming back a few times a week, so she's kind of like a contractor, so we're still able to access her for her understanding and knowledge of the budget.
That's good information, Amy, because the first time we did, when we built the library, we opened kind of a capital account because we raised 300,000 of the cost of the library. And there was it was really a difficult and new thing for the town, and Linda really did help us navigate that. So yeah, when I email Nate back, I'll kind of, and he said that she might be able to help us, so that's good to hear.
Yes.
Thank you, Amy.
And
Absolutely.
Amy, I wanted to pass along that it was a few weeks ago that the Daily Hampshire Gazette had an article where the Jones Library, which is going through a major renovation, might draw on their endowment to help fund that major renovation. So, having this flexibility around budgeting issues
Mm-hmm.
offers lots of potential for the future.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's all I've got, that's what we're working on.
Thanks, Joanne. And Julie confirmed that it's September 21st for that meeting.
Okay.
You could ask, yep. And on to the director's report. Okay, and Julie and Amy, can you hear all right?
I can hear you.
Yeah. All right, I'll lean forward.
Oh, now I can hear you. Yeah, you're fine.
So it's been kind of an unusual month. We had some technical difficulties this month with our CWR's computers where there was a conflict between the security software, which is administered by CWMars, and the kind of routine updating of our operating systems, which are all Windows. The two things were sort of fighting with each other, and we have 15 public computers, and we were down to, at the worst of it, last week we had 3 functioning computers in the library. And
For staff.
for public, for use of public, the staff computers are fine, they're not affected by this because we don't use the same security software. So anyway, I have been working with CWMars and a private consultant that work with as an alternative to working with Northeast IT, which would be quite a lot more expensive. This is someone who used to work at the Jones, who has a deep knowledge background with the CWMars network and IT related to that. So it's always great to work with them. He lives on the Cape Town, so we do everything remotely, and I become the hands and kind of operate the machines until we can take them over and repair them. So I was saying to Jack before the meeting, I probably spent about 20 hours of the last 2 weeks working on resolving this problem. And we are now very close. I think we have all of our computers back up and running, but it has been an extreme demanding and frustrating situation because it shouldn't have happened in the first place. In the meantime, in my copious spare time, I've completed the ERS report.
I have a question with that.
Yeah.
Is that, the conflict that other libraries had, or was it our system specific?
So part of why this is frustrating is that this is an issue that has been observed and reported elsewhere. It's never it's never occurred where it more or less affected all of the computers in the library, and that's, that was sort of the part of the mystery of it, and I'm still not fully satisfied. Until the computers are stable for a while, because this was something that was happening at a small scale. Over the last year or so, like one machine would start to go haywire, essentially have to reinstall Windows, reinstall everything for it, and like basically start with a fresh installation. Which in all the time that I've been doing this work, I've never had to do that until like the last year or so. And so it would happen inexplicably once in a while, we would address it. And then a few months later, it would occur again, not on the same computer, but on another computer. And then, so they were aware that things like this do occur. And yes, it's happened elsewhere, but usually it's an isolated incident. And, you know, rather than really getting quickly into it, we just resolve the issue and move on. But it was frustrating for me because I don't really have anyone to step in. It just becomes a thing that I have to stop. And normally with 15 computers, if we have one that's out of order, it's not a huge deal. But when you have 12 out of 15 out of order, you know, people start to kind of like raise an eyebrow about like what you're doing. So it's been a bad week.
So I think my bigger question is like, is CW Mars, I mean, it sounds like the problem is CW Mars. So are they willing to, like,
I love that observation, yeah.
right, so like, the question is like, we pay that, I mean.
Yep, yep.
To have CW Mars, are they willing to joining together and saying,
I don't
listen,
think- At this point, you know, hopefully this is water under the bridge and we'll see. They do make some settings, you know, they reached out to the vendor that provides the security software to troubleshoot this. At the end of the day, did I feel that they could have been more hands-on? Could they have sent someone out from Worcester to look at this when the scale of the problem was so large? I think so, yes. So was I satisfied with my experience? Not necessarily. But at this point, I'm just glad to have it behind us. And if if it comes up again, then yeah, we're gonna have to try something different because it's this was just incredibly disruptive.
I guess
to everybody.
without trying to belabor the point, I kind of feel like library trustees as advocates, right? Like, at what point do we kind of write in and say, you know, we've experienced this at our library, kind of to the state level? I think about, I don't know if anyone else caught a letter from Joe Comerford, who was like, if you ever need anything, call me, right? Like, so when do we advocate? When do you feel like we should start being a little more proactive on a larger scale, not just a heavy scale, and say,
This is one of the situations where we rely so heavily on CWRs, and by and large, the relationship is excellent. This is a case where something clearly was going wrong. They did not know why it was going wrong. They had to do the research to figure out why they think it was going wrong. So right now, we just need to kind of like
wait it out.
yeah, just observe. And you know, we've started a spreadsheet. Anything that anyone, you know, if a member of the public brings something to the attention of staff at the desk, the staff at the desk are reporting it back to me. We're keeping a log of everything, what is going wrong on what machine, so we can track it for patterns. And then we'll contact CWRs. But I mean, by and large, what we were paying for is good and works. In this case, it totally went off the rails. And yeah, I was very frustrated in this situation, but I'm at this point, I'm not ready to really like kind of start raising any sort of alarm because it seemed to be a pretty freakish thing. As I said, no one else has experienced this to this scale.
Do you have a sense of when it might pop up again? Are these security things quarterly? How often are they?
So Windows, the thing is Windows, at this point, Windows is constantly pushing updates, like it's constantly pushing security updates. You don't know when they're going to run an update. So normally, and this is kind of where it came down to the settings in the software in that the computers are supposed to, so it's a thing called deep freeze that you use, which essentially freezes the computer in place. So if you were to go on the computer, you were to look at something that caused a malware to get onto the computer, when the computer is restarted, it essentially goes back to the starting point. You can't make a permanent change to them without the computer being thawed. So what happens, and that includes Windows updates. So what happens is we have the computers on a schedule to stay on overnight for the computers to thaw to run the updates. What was happening was the setting, there was a setting that apparently could be toggled on and was not toggled on, that would tell the computer to not freeze again until the update was finished running. So we were having all kinds of like weird glitchy things where the computer was trying to connect or trying to run this update. We were having messages coming up where on some of the computers, the patron would sit down to use the computer, they would start, they'd be doing whatever they're doing, and they would get a dialog box that said, this computer is going to restart in 3 minutes to run. That wasn't supposed to be happening, and it's certainly not supposed to be happening during our open hours. So it was just a whole set of things that were happening, and they could not explain it because they kept thinking they fixed it and it was not fixed. So at this point, we're just going to take a wait and see approach. And if everything, runs smoothly from here, normally we don't have these kinds of problems and they're super responsive. So, yes, so that's it. So in the meantime, the ARIS report, which is the annual statistical report for the Board of Library Commissioners, which is one of 2 reports that we submit at the beginning of the new fiscal year to the MBLC. These reports, completing these reports and satisfying the requirements of our service requirements as part of how we qualify to receive our state aid payment every year in the late winter and early spring. So the first of those 2 reports is done, and that reminds me that Jack, now with you as the new chair, you will have to sign on the dotted line to say that we've completed this, and then otherwise it's been submitted. I just need to send a cover page to them. So it's bills to be signed. The roof, very quickly, the roof, because we seem to be having some active leaks that appear to be new that we haven't noticed before due to some water stains. Again, this is all in one area of the library. I called Gary at DPW in his capacity as the building maintenance supervisor. He called out the roofer that has been out on various occasions to look at the roof and to make repairs. There's been some sort of breakdown in communication between Hadley and the roofer. Apparently, as I understand it secondhand, it's possible that the person who came out to assess or do repairs has since left the roofing company. So apparently this is the work, whatever he did has been inconclusive. We don't have a report, we don't have any feedback, we don't know what was done. We also haven't paid a bill as far as I know, so it has to be done again, I guess, but I don't have any update on it other than that we tried to get someone out here to look at it.
Will Gary keep pursuing this?
Mhm.
And will he keep pursuing this with the roofing company? Okay.
He said he was just having a problem getting through with them to find out what was going on. But I guess they'll follow up if they want to get paid. So in the meantime, I had, at the recommendation of Nate, reached out to David Wiskevitz, and his facilities building inspector, to see if he had any thoughts on the situation with the roof. I mean, again, I don't want to push this on his plate. It's not, it's sort of outside of the remit of his job as it stands, because we're not inspecting something. But with his background and his familiarity with the project, because he was on the building committee, I did want to run this by him to see what he thought. And really kind of what we talked about was sort of the strategy for, what might be reasonable to address these problems in the short and long term, whether we could possibly make a short-term fix that fixes or addresses the most vulnerable part of the roof as we've observed it today. And he thought that might be a wise approach. We would have to get quotes and have to, find out what that would cost to address essentially the lower roof on the north side of the building, which is probably more vulnerable because it is north facing. And it probably takes a greater brunt of ice and snow thawing in the winter and the spring. So there's more to look into there. And I think at this point, based on what I understand, Nate reached out to town council just to find out what, to familiarize himself with like what had gone before. They do not seem to have any new or different opinion on, what they've advised the town previously. So it seems at this point that it's really kind of, unless the select board decides to do something different, it does seem that, essentially the town is sort of on its own as far as, addressing the issue. And that's kind of why we need to sort of see what some options would be to address it. Either comprehensively, which would be probably more expensive, but it probably becomes more expensive the longer you wait, inflation being what it is. Or whether there's a stopgap solution to really get as much life out of the roof where it's functional and where it's working as it's supposed to. Maybe we're able to get some or all of the, the expected lifetime out of that, those materials. So, we probably need some feedback from the select board on that in terms of where the direction should come from for moving forward with this, because again, we don't want to damage the building, we don't want to be viewed as not taking care of the building. And it's been a long road to this point, just in terms of investigating the problem. So we have a lot of information at our disposal based on, services that were provided by Gale International or Gale Associates.
Do we want to hear any of Amy's thoughts on it?
Absolutely, Amy, if you have anything to contribute or any thoughts on this, we'd love to hear them.
I think I have to be careful with what I say.
Yes.
But I will say that the town is on the hook for the roof, 100%. And I think, oh God, this is, I'm like, I don't really know what I can say. I don't know what I can't say.
If you
Yeah,
can't, err on the side of caution, Amy, we
Right.
understand.
Yeah, so like I said, the town is responsible for the roof, in its entirety, in the, any fixing that needs to happen. And that's something that is actively being looked at.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
That's really, oh, actually, I do have two other things, to mention, so. This is really a potential agenda item, but, Ben from the Health, Department, Board of Health, reached out about, an organization called Tapestry, who are interested in citing, I don't know how you pronounce it, naloxone boxes which is apparently the antidote for various opioids, yes.
Yeah.
So there's going to be apparently there'll be some of these boxes in public spaces around town. Ben reached out to see if we would be willing to entertain the hosting of such a thing. And I said, well, I don't really have any background or knowledge of this. So if the person from Tapestry could attend and sort of give us a rundown on what it entails, what we need to be trained to do, and what to expect. And then, also probably talk about where it would be located.
is that something that we would have to bring to the select board first? Or I don't know what policy, Kim, I don't know if you have any insights on this.
I mean, in Virginia, they were everywhere and anybody could have one next
So
door.
I assume that, yeah, I would assume that Ben being on Board of Health is already in consultation with in terms of that, but we can find out more as we go along. But I think just having her, the person for Tapestry, whose name is.
That is from our
Oh,
health
okay.
board.
Yes.
Okay, I thought maybe you did, Jack, that he was from Tapestry. Yeah,
Sorry, yes, he's from the Board of Health. So, yeah, again, I don't have the full scope of
Yeah.
what they're trying to do and.
I get it now.
It's a very public space with a lot of people in it, so that this would be a natural fit. But so I just put out the dates of the next two trustees meetings to see if, she would be available, and she said that she would be able to attend, I believe, in person on September 8th. I think that's the next.
Yep, that is.
Meeting. So if we add that to the agenda.
Sure.
To, decide on now, other than just to add it to the agenda. And then, I just wanted to mention that Patty from Friends, who's been, working tirelessly, she's the person that's really kind of masterminding the book sale in the Friends room. She's planning to step down at the end of her term as a friend. I guess she has some things going on, and she's going to be stepping away from the Friends generally. And I just want to, say in this meeting publicly that, she's been invaluable, she's been, super engaged and, a really, really valuable member of the Friends team. So I'd like to just, let her know how much we appreciate that, letting her know that at the next Friends meeting, of course, in person. And I think that's it. You all saw the wonderful Gazette article on the paper mache birds. That was a wonderful article, excellent.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Right, thank you. And that leads into ways to honor library volunteers, the next agenda item. It was brought to my attention that that's something that we should be discussing and seeing if we can implement something. I don't know what is the best way or what's been done in the past to honor library volunteers.
Did someone like request that this item be on the agenda?
Yes,
Okay, so is
Yeah.
the person here to talk?
no,
Oh,
it just came to me. So I am wondering what's been done in the past to honor library volunteers?
Nothing on a very formal basis. I think there was a proposal at one time that I had made to, I can't remember, it's been a couple of years, but I think I floated the idea of doing some sort of like a volunteer of the year or something like that, but I think that it probably would just make more sense to do a general event to honor all volunteers that, that help either now or over the years. I don't know if this is something that would dovetail well with the Friends. But I think it would be nice to make an effort just to have like some sort of like a little reception with, I don't know, what, punch bowl and, cookies and just to bring people together and say thank you for everything that people are doing throughout the year, because the number of hours that are being contributed is more than it ever has been. It's, continues to go up. And so we would be in a very sorry spot relative to our work, the amount of work that we're needing to do if we didn't have those volunteers. And I'm not being, there's no hyperbole, we would be self without them.
Well, I wonder if there's a way to get someone from the Friends to come in and to say, what they might be thinking. I don't know.
Would there be a way to publicize what the Friends do? I mean, before I was on this board, I didn't know there was a Friends of the Library.
Well, and also I'm still a little unsure, like you have friends volunteering and you have other people volunteering.
Yeah, so we have, the Friends are volunteers, but not all volunteers are friends. Put it that way. I mean, we have friends, or we have volunteers that come in and approach us directly. They don't come from the Friends, or not affiliated with the Friends, or not members of the Friends. But obviously the Friends are a part of that pool of volunteer help. They don't all necessarily come in and show a book or do something that is work in that sense, but they do work in other valuable ways that it still, would still fall under that volunteer appreciation. So I think we should just sort of cast the net wide to, honor everybody that comes in any way, shape, or form to help out in big and small ways.
Perhaps we could get somebody from the Gazette to do an article about volunteers.
Yeah.
To make public that there are a lot of volunteers who work for the library.
I mean, I just don't think we need to overthink it too much. I think it's just important to do something, to set a date, put something on the calendar and just say that we're doing it as a thank you. I don't think that it needs to be an elaborate affair. It's just something, to just sort of publicly state,
I'm not thinking about making it elaborate.
No.
I'm thinking a reporter from the Gazette. I think it'd be very interesting for the community to know how many of these people.
Well, in the same way, the Gazette article about bird migration honored Karen's work from the library and, the connection to the library. It was a good way to spread the word.
Yeah, and to be clear, I wasn't saying that calling a reporter would be overthinking it. I'm simply saying, I think we can absolutely do that, and we should do that.
Both of us.
Yes, I'm just saying that, I think we should, rather than like kind of, deferring to another meeting and, having like a long planning process, that we should just really kind of like set a date and just say, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna
Right.
throw this shindig before the end of the year to thank these people.
I think it needs to be the trustees throwing it, not the friends, because the friends are people you need to thank.
Yes.
So I would think we could set the date now, and just have it, like agree to all be there. Come on, it was simple.
I mean, we have, it's recorded in years, or I don't know that age, but, we have probably about 15 people that are dedicated volunteers that contribute at some level, and we have, you know, some that contribute as much as 6 or 8 hours a week. We have some that, you know, come up regularly. We don't know necessarily when they're gonna come, but they know what they, you know, they know what their tasks are, and they just show up and do their thing for an hour or so.
Patrick, would be taxing on the library if we did it, say, on a Wednesday night, or are we just too busy to do it then? What should we do it on a Friday?
Wednesdays are a great time to do it.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Wednesday night. Do we wanna set a date now and just move forward with it?
Sure.
I mean, why not?
Sure.
Yeah. I like the idea of giving them a certificate or having, I don't know. I was thinking, you know, how people who donate have names on their books, but we could have one for volunteers, you know, not with their names, but just, you know, as a recognition that the volunteers, to put up on the wall that the volunteers do an amazing amount of work for the library and are really helpful.
I think this public recognition would be a start. And maybe later in the year, we can consider something more permanent. Publicizing the names of both are
Well,
great
you don't have to
ideas.
put everybody's name up there, but if you just, I mean, uh, if you just had one of those books that said, you know, the volunteers of the library, but I also think just at this event, maybe giving people a certificate of some kind, thanking them and the trustees sign it or whatever.
And you're saying open to the volunteers and to the friends?
The friends are volunteers, yeah.
Yeah, I think they were all,
Okay.
falls in that category.
How many would you say we're talking about? Between those two groups?
I mean, the Friends membership, again, they're people that are not board members. They're not holding official office on the Friends, who are members of Friends who volunteer. I
I'm
would say
sure there's an overlap.
there's no overlap. I would say there's probably about 30 people easily that would fall into this category.
That includes the folks who are working in the library.
Includes
So
people that
total 30.
includes the people that come in and work within the library, includes friends that are like actively volunteering and spending their time.
So I think the question is, who is able to get the list together for invites? Like, if we're gonna do this, we need someone who can
Yeah.
kind of know who to invite, right? And
Yeah, so
we
I
can
have,
organize the food, but we don't know who to invite.
right, so every year when we provide the. You know, the estimate of like the number of hours worked by volunteers. I also get a list from Sue, because Sue is the sort of the overseer, the coordinator of that volunteer work, when people work, when there's gonna be overlap, she's kind of like the one that has her eyes on it. So she gives me a list of who those people are for any given year. And so she'd be the person to ask. I mean, I don't have the folder with me, but I have the list that she gave me and said, these are the volunteers, this is roughly what they work.
So do we wanna set a date now and just pull it together? We could have it in October, so that we have one more meeting
Yeah.
before it.
The date would in part determine how much we want to do at this particular event. So if it's fairly soon, I think we're looking at something less lavish, maybe.
Yeah, closer you get to the holidays, it's.
Since it's the
Yeah.
first time we're doing it, I think setting it in October would be, mid-October would give us time to do it right. And
Yeah.
to decide who's invited and what we're gonna do at this meeting.
So October 14th is a Wednesday. October 21st is a Wednesday. I don't think you wanna go for the 28th, cause then,
Halloween.
yeah, that seems to be big for people. I did not show up in a Halloween.
Yeah, Audrey, you were starting to say?
That was it.
That was it.
That was it. I'm gonna be away. I'm gonna be out of the country from sort of September 24th-ish until right around the middle of October, like the 15th, 14th, 15th, somewhere in
The
there.
21st.
Not that I'm essential to this event, but
Nice to have as many, all the trustees there. Does the 21st work for people? October 21st?
I think
Julie, does that work for you?
Yep, works for me. Yes.
Amy, I mean, I don't know if you're free, but it might be nice to have our select board person there too. I know you have select board meetings on Wednesday night, so. But if you could consider it, we would love it.
It's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah. Well, it is budget season, and so I think we actually have meetings like every Wednesday for the next couple of months. But absolutely, depending on the time, or if I can have the clerk be the chair for the night.
Oh, that's right, you're the chair. We don't just have a select board member, we have the chair of the select.
Yeah, so I can if it falls on a meeting night, I can always have the clerk be the chair at the meeting, and I can attend.
All right, and it sounds like next month we can spend some time planning.
Yeah, maybe if you wanna think about it, we can come back to the table with ideas.
We have to get more details in place and then you can formal invitations. I think this is a great idea.
One other thing just to be aware of for everybody on the board, and this is falling under discussion, director's annual review. And it's interesting because it seems like we just finished one.
Yeah.
Really say so.
It really does. And now we're looking to have this in place for the winter. Definitely they'll need this information for the early spring. But, November and December meetings, this is something we will be looking at reviewing your work again.
Yes, so it seems like the task for the group now is to clarify what the process will be, what
Is there,
form it will take,
Yeah.
if that needs to be revised, if that needs to be rethought. I think the last go round, I can't remember. I feel like there was one document for staff to complete because this is, a 360 type of thing. I evaluate myself, you do it, the staff does it. But there's often, in recent years, there's been a question of whether the staff using the document, it used to be that it's just one document. And that was helpful because all the metrics were set, everyone was looking at the same metrics. And if you didn't know enough, you might have to ask some questions. You might have to come and say, well, I don't know what you do related to this. Can you tell me more about what you're doing or not? I don't think that it's possible to really do this without some of that. Because you can't possibly know on every category what it entails.
Would it help to have a subcommittee to structure this review and present to the board at our next meeting? What this is gonna be like?
Yeah.
Typically that's what, there's usually a subcommittee to look at this, to figure out, okay, these are the ground rules, this is the process.
Yeah.
This is the document or documents. And then setting a recommendation with the timeline of completing it.
For clarity for me,
Isn't-
what
isn't
period
there-
are we reviewing?
This fiscal year, the most recent fiscal year.
Okay.
isn't there a template that you just use every year?
Yeah, or a rubric or something.
Right there, I mean, what I'm saying is that the template has changed over time, so the question is, which version you want to use? Do you want to have different documents for staff, different document for the trustees? That's what I'm saying, that's where we are now, I believe.
So if we did this year, can this be the template or the process so that this doesn't get redone every year? Is there any reason it has been
It
redone?
doesn't get done every year. It was redone more recently because of feedback from the staff that they didn't like the document that they were given because they didn't feel that they were necessarily qualified to answer all of the questions that they were being asked for feedback on. I'm just saying, it wasn't I'm not part of that decision-making process. I mean, I could comment on it, but it's not my decision to do it. And I don't have the documents in front of me. We'd have to like go back and see what the last one was. Honestly, I don't remember what it looked like, but I know that
Okay,
divergence happened in the past like couple of years where we split it. And then I thought it was, just again, this is my opinion on it, that if the documents are all different, if the things don't perfectly line up in terms of like what you're being graded on, I found that to be a little bit problematic.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering where to dig for those documents.
Yeah. That was gonna be, that review must be someplace.
Yeah.
We,
And Lynn, what about give you look, we should have some history in the notes and Lynn can help you.
Okay.
But who were the other members of the subcommittee?
It was Lynn and Guilford White,
Oh,
Susan.
Susan.
Okay.
Okay. Right. There's some digging to be done. And I'll talk to Lynn about that.
And then maybe in October, we could form the subcommittee and then move forward with one. Typically, in the year that I've been here, like Audrey, we do kind of just go with small changes. It's not like we reinvent the wheel, like, but inevitably small changes need to be.
this document has to be similar.
Yeah, we could, there's no,
We'll
we'll
get it.
No problem. We just don't have it at our fingertips right now, but we'll have it, no problem. And we'll kind of see where it stands from last year.
And just help with the timeline again. So looking backwards, this needs to be in by early spring. So this review needs to really be done by January.
If at all possible, we would want to have it done before. Well, as soon as possible, because it impacts how we put together the budget. So, I mean, it's going, and as you recall, I'm on a 1-year contract because of the kind of the unknowns of, what's been going on in town, so we have to kind of go back to that conversation as well, sadly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I remember this conversation from last year, because
Yeah.
this is my second year, so I remember that part of it. But we all got a copy, didn't we, of the
Yeah.
evaluation?
Evaluation, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they went to Lynn.
But we don't have the staff.
We don't have,
We don't have the staff, like we won't have the copy that went to the staff.
We only have a piece of the puzzle.
We should be able to get the questionnaire.
Yeah, okay.
We don't have that. We don't have like the completed.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm just,
that.
one-
A summary of that.
I'm just wondering about goals and all of that. We had done a lot of work around that, strategic plans. Let's see, we have employment between you, that was. Okay, so it's a 3-year contract, but that actually is just a 1 year.
It was a 1 year.
Yeah, and I think that was corrected.
When is the end of this fiscal year?
June 30th. June 30th.
June 30th.
But the budget season happens before because the budget has to be ready to go.
So we're reviewing what dates?
July 1st, 25 to June 30th, 26.
Okay, yeah, so the last fiscal year. Yeah, I have some of the materials in here, but yeah, it did get complicated, I thought, with the process. Yeah,
I kind of voted
That's a
for
nice way.
a simpler, I think a lot about how teachers are evaluated. And kind of going with a simpler evaluation system, that was my suggestion in the past, but.
Yeah.
I will always advocate for me. As long as it works together.
Are we just
I'm on your side.
pieces of paper to fill out, or if we sit down, talk about everything, because I didn't.
So
How to.
typically what happens is everyone goes home, you get a form, we each fill it out individually. One person compiles all of what the trustees have said into one kind of document that we then present to Patrick. So that's what happens on the trustee side.
Yeah.
So you would go home, you would think about it, you would answer what questions. You are newer, you weren't here for most of it, so you might say, don't know, right, like, I don't know, I wasn't here, right, like, you can't answer some of the
It
questions.
has to be a little more complicated than that. I mean, we don't just fill out a form.
Well, we did a Google form, if I recall.
Yeah, you filled out a form.
We're doing the whole evaluation. We're not interviewing employees.
So they fill out
They
the
fill out
values.
forms as well. They fill
So
out.
we have access to those.
Right,
Yeah.
whoever chairs the subcommittee has access to all of that, compiles all of it. They take everyone's individual, compile it into a full review,
That's what we say and what the employees say.
Yeah, but that's-
and what Patrick says.
So, yeah.
But then there's no
I hope
opportunity
you'll
for,
be kind to yourself.
there's no opportunity for the trustees to talk to the staff and say, so you wrote this. This was unclear to us. What, could you elaborate on this? Or what do you mean by that? Or,
So in the past, that would be done by the person who chairs the committee, if there was questions. But a lot of what you answer is mostly about your experience working with Patrick. It's not about like how the staff is, they're answering how they feel working with Patrick.
so if they just turn in an answer that's sort of ambiguous, it just remains ambiguous.
Well, it comes attached to a number,
Right.
so the number shouldn't be ambiguous.
The number is very concrete,
What-
Like 1 to 4 rating.
Right.
Whatever the
Right.
scale is.
1 to 4, 1 to 5, something like that.
Okay.
And some people, will give a number and they will not really put a lot of that back up. That you can look at, it's just a little bit of a number, and we don't have an explanation, but that's what they said, that's the grade that they gave.
Yeah, and you have 5 people who, is that right?
That would be five people.
Some full-time, some part-time? All right,
So before we leave this,
Sure.
what is our plan? Do we have a timeline and a plan for how we're gonna do this?
so at our next meeting, the director's annual review will be on the agenda again. Hopefully I'll have an opportunity to have spoken with Lynn. We will develop a small subcommittee to pull things together the following month. And do you provide the questionnaires for the staff? Is that right?
It's usually the person's running this committee, just does the direct license.
Okay.
Topic uses the degree.
So I wonder if they also did a Google form. I can't remember for the staff last year.
Probably.
Okay,
I mean,
that would be the easiest way.
yeah, the question is whether it differed or not. Again, I don't remember whether I saw it, but I know at one point the form did differ, which, again, if there's numbers attached, but the categories don't line up, what does that do?
Surely there's a record of this somewhere.
Yes, it is.
We'll figure it out.
Don't have it right at our.
We don't have it right now, so we need like to come back to the meeting with information.
Well, and I wonder too, does any of this need to be vetted by HR or anything like that, or no? The trustees run the process. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
It's already complicated enough,
Yeah,
in my
we
opinion.
try and keep it simple,
Yeah.
Just,
simple.
I'm just saying, it just seems very complex as is. Not that that's wrong, but if there's a way to simplify it, all the better. Okay. Are there any other thoughts on director's annual review or any other items for discussion? I'm going with the discussion. We had talked about this a while ago. Okay. And announcements, I did want to mention that it was about 2 months ago, maybe 3, maybe 2, that you sent out a copy of the MBLC handbook. And it was supremely valuable to have a chance to go through that. And I'm trying to remember the date, if it was a June wherever you would included it in a link. And I think it was Kim, you had already started. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at that MBLC handbook, it's really, really valuable.
And I'm gonna make a pitch, add to your pitch that this is my like. 20th being a trustee maybe. And I still found it valuable to go back. I went back and read it again. And it was actually really helpful when it came to the development stuff. Because it had a section on it, so I do really, I do recommend it.
Where can I get this?
You have it, but we can resend it.
Yeah.
It was attached
Yeah, I
to,
sent it.
I'm trying to remember when you sent it out. I think it was a June.
Patrick sent it.
I mean, I think it came up because someone could be sent out and I just sent it the next day, but it's easily found on the Bird Library. But
Yeah.
we'll share the link
Okay.
for anyone that
Yeah.
would look at it.
Would you be able to do that?
Um,
I know you have that link
Sure, what,
handy.
Joan's gonna find it right now and just.
Oh, even better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because it is complex with the work that we are doing here. And it's important to have that backup. And there are some things that are sort of less relevant right now. For example, if you're constructing a new library, there's a chapter or two on that. It doesn't matter. It's a moot point. We've done that. But there are other points that are really, really relevant.
Was there a part on the roof? When
The
you
Yeah, I was
chapter.
just gonna say. A chapter on the roof.
Well timed, yes, there you go. All right. And that brings us to executive session for the purpose of accepting the minutes from our last executive sessions.
so you need to just, to call individual,
So do we need to adjourn this meeting and create a new meeting? And,
sorry, Jack.
well, and I just wonder about doing it on Zoom as well. I don't know, the
We
the
need to-
legality.
We can't, because this is being broadcasted,
Okay,
so we just have to kind of log off, which means. Julia, you've seen the minutes.
Yep.
Once we approve the minutes, they'll just be in public domain and we'll never have to worry again.
Okay,
Um,
no problem.
but
Is
we
your-
will have-
Oh, I was gonna ask if your Zoom was set up with like a waiting room. Cause I mean, cause I was gonna say like I can log out and if Julie needs to stay on, then you could can
No, because I think he has it for broadcast and Amy, it's really fine, I promise you, there's nothing like controversial in the minutes, like I'm sure it's gonna go through in a minute.
okay.
Okay, I'm gonna leave too, and
All right.
then you guys can get to it, all right?
We just get, yeah, but we just have to vote to go into executive session.
Right.
so
And
let's,
each person has to vote individually with your name.
all right, so are you ready?
I just need to get back to that. So first, we need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, so
So-
let's, yeah,
Second.
8:02.
and now let's just quickly vote on adjournment, close this meeting. And then we go into executive session.
Okay.
But we'll also close out in the room.
Okay.
So
Well, thank you so much.
thank you. Bye, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.